The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. This best-selling fable tells the story of Julian Mantle, a high-powered lawyer who suffers a heart attack in court due to his high-stress lifestyle. After this wake-up call, he disappears and returns transformed, not as a wealthy lawyer, but as a monk having found wisdom in the Himalayas. He shares his spiritual transformation with his friend John, revealing the 7 timeless virtues of enlightened living that helped him create a life of peace, purpose, and passion. The purpose of life is a life of purpose. The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari invites you to look inward, take charge of your thoughts, and build a life not just of success, but of significance. Chapter 1. The Wake-Up Call. The story opens with a shocking and dramatic moment. Julian Mantle, a brilliant, wealthy, and once passionate trial lawyer, collapses from a massive heart attack in a packed courtroom, in the middle of a case. Julian was famous for his flashy lifestyle, $3,000 suits, expensive cigars, late-night parties, and a bright red Ferrari. He had achieved all the external symbols of success: money, status, fame, and power. But internally, he was falling apart. The narrator, Julian's friend and former intern, recounts Julian's past. A gifted, passionate young lawyer with a powerful drive for success and a deep sense of purpose. Over time, though, that purpose faded. Work took over his life. He became consumed by ambition, chasing prestige, power, and possessions. Despite his outward success, a mansion, private jet, and Ferrari, Julian became deeply unhappy, unhealthy, and spiritually lost. He lost his family, his passion for law, his connection to others, and eventually his physical health. His heart attack was not just a medical event. It was a metaphorical wake-up call, forcing him to confront the emptiness of the life he had built. External success can mask deep inner emptiness. Overworking and ignoring balance can destroy your health and happiness. True success must be measured by fulfillment, not just wealth or reputation. Life will eventually force you to confront your choices, sometimes in painful ways. A dramatic fall, like Julian's heart attack, can serve as the first step toward transformation. Chapter 2. The Mysterious Visitor. Julian's disappearance and the aftermath. After collapsing in court, Julian Mantle, the once legendary trial lawyer, is hospitalized with a massive heart attack. During an emergency firm meeting, it's revealed that Julian is leaving law for good. He won't be returning, not to the firm, not to court, and not even to say goodbye. The narrator, John, is deeply shocked and hurt. Despite their close relationship, Julian refuses to see or speak to him. No calls, no visits, just silence. John feels abandoned but suspects Julian is trying to erase all reminders of his old life. Julian's escape to India. Word spreads that Julian has sold everything: his mansion, private jet, tropical island, and his beloved red Ferrari. He has apparently gone to India on a spiritual quest, saying he needed answers and wanted to simplify his life. No one hears from him for 3 years. During that time, John reflects on his own life. He gets older, becomes more cynical, and starts a family. Fatherhood awakens him to a deeper sense of purpose. He starts to realize that life isn't about working late or chasing money. His father's words stay with him. On your deathbed, you will never wish you had spent more time at the office. The unexpected reunion. Out of nowhere, 3 years later, a visitor arrives at John's office, demanding to see him. John is reluctant, tired from work and ready to go home, but finally agrees. To his astonishment, in walks a young, radiant man with glowing skin, piercing blue eyes, and a calm, powerful presence. At first, John doesn't recognize him. But then the man speaks, and John realizes it's Julian Mantle. But Julian is unrecognizable. The once aging, unhealthy, stressed-out man now looks vibrant, youthful, serene, and full of energy. There is a peacefulness and power about him that immediately shifts the atmosphere in the room. His transformation is shocking, almost otherworldly. Julian greets John with a wide smile and a joke, breaking the tension and confirming that this is truly him, returned from a profound journey of change. Transformation is possible. Julian's appearance and energy prove that radical personal change can happen, no matter how far gone you are, physically, emotionally, or spiritually. Letting go to find yourself. Julian gave up everything: money, career, status, in pursuit of truth, peace, and purpose. Sometimes, you must walk away from a life that looks successful to find authentic happiness. Success isn't what you think. The man who once defined success by power and prestige now radiates something much deeper: inner peace and meaning. The power of presence. Julian's energy and presence alone are so profound that John feels peaceful just being near him. A hint at the depth of Julian's inner transformation. This chapter builds curiosity and tension. The reader, like John, wonders, what happened to Julian in those 3 years? What could cause such a profound transformation? Julian's return signals the beginning of the wisdom he's about to share, the secrets he discovered in India that changed his life forever. Chapter 3: The Miraculous Transformation of Julian Mantle. Julian's astonishing change. John can't believe his eyes. The man who once looked like a burned-out, aging lawyer now looks like a youthful, glowing, peaceful monk. Julian's face is smooth, his eyes are bright, and he exudes a calm, powerful presence. Julian explains that he has undergone a complete inner transformation, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. I am not the same man, John. The old Julian Mantle is history, a life-changing decision. After his heart attack, Julian realized his old lifestyle was destroying him. He knew he had to make a change. He sold everything he owned, including his Ferrari, his mansion, and his career, and set off on a journey to India, searching for a more meaningful life. He wanted to learn from people who had mastered the art of living, not just the science of achievement. He wanted to find peace, purpose, and true happiness, something all his money and success had failed to give him. The search for wisdom. Julian traveled across India, meeting sages, monks, and mystics. Most people gave him small pieces of advice, but he was searching for deeper truths. Eventually, in a remote Himalayan village, he met a group of sages of Savannah who possessed ageless wisdom about how to live fully and joyfully. They agreed to teach him their secrets, but only if he promised to share them with others when he returned to the West. Julian made that promise. Julian's mission. Now, 3 years later, Julian is back, not as a lawyer, but as a messenger of wisdom. He tells John, "I've come to share what I've learned with you. The same principles that helped me reclaim my life can help you reclaim yours too." This sets the stage for the core of the book. Julian will now reveal the lessons and philosophies he learned from the sages of Savannah. Lessons that can help anyone live with more purpose, balance, and peace. Radical change is possible. No matter how far gone your life seems, you can rebuild it. Julian went from sick and lost to vibrant and joyful by choosing a different path. Success without purpose is hollow. Julian had wealth and prestige, but no peace. Real success is about living fully, not just achieving externally. Wisdom is timeless. The truths Julian discovered in a remote Indian village are not new. They are ancient and universal, and they apply to all of us today. You must share what you learn. Julian's promise to the sages emphasizes that knowledge means little unless it is passed on and used to uplift others. This chapter is the turning point of the story. Julian is no longer just John's mentor or friend. He becomes a spiritual guide, ready to pass on the secrets of a fulfilled life. John is intrigued. The reader is too. The real journey, the unfolding of the wisdom Julian gained in the Himalayas, is about to begin. Chapter 4. A magical meeting with the sages of Savannah. Arrival in a hidden paradise. After days of exhausting travel through rugged paths and forests in the Himalayas, Julian finally arrives at a breathtaking valley. A lush, green paradise guarded by the towering snow-capped mountains and thick pine forests. The air is fresh with sandalwood and pine, and orchids and vibrant flowers bloom naturally, creating a dreamlike atmosphere. His guide, the mysterious sage, gently welcomes him to the Nirvana of Savannah. This is the home of the sages of Savannah, a secret, sacred place few outsiders have ever seen. A village of roses and stillness. Julian is led into a flower-filled village, where everything, from the temple to the huts, is made from roses and natural materials. It's a living symbol of beauty, simplicity, and peace. The villagers are silent, moving gracefully and mindfully. Their clothing is simple yet vibrant, monks in red robes, women in pink silk saris. Despite their age, no one looks old. They are youthful, radiant, and serene. Their eyes sparkle with vitality, free from the stress, aging, and fatigue that plague modern people. Julian meets Yogi Raman. His guide finally reveals himself as Yogi Raman, the eldest and wisest sage of the group. He is respected by all the others and becomes Julian's mentor and teacher. Julian is welcomed with a humble feast of fresh fruits and exotic vegetables, nutrient-rich food that the sages believe is essential for health and longevity. Yogi Raman brings Julian to his new home, a small, peaceful hut filled with flowers, a simple bed, and a blank journal. A deep sense of belonging. Though Julian is in a completely unfamiliar place, he experiences a strange but powerful sense of homecoming. He realizes that this was the place where his broken spirit would slowly start to heal. Chapter 5. A spiritual student of the sages. This chapter captures Julian Mantle's deepening transformation as he fully immerses himself in the ancient teachings of the sages of Savannah. It is both a spiritual journey and a blueprint for personal reinvention. From litigator to learner, Julian shares with the narrator John how he went from being a high-powered, stressed-out lawyer to a humble spiritual student in the Himalayas. He is now speaking not just as a man who changed his life, but as someone called to share timeless wisdom with others. Julian's intense curiosity and sharp intellect earned him the respect of the sages. He became an honorary member of their spiritual community. He was personally mentored by Yogi Raman, the elder sage who became a father figure to him. Daily life with the sages. Julian's days in Savannah were filled with learning, reflection, and personal growth. Dawn lessons. Each day began before sunrise, with Yogi Raman teaching him ancient principles of joyful and meaningful living. Vitality practices. These included mind-body techniques, meditation, philosophy, and spiritual rituals. He learned how to extend life, preserve youthfulness, and unlock creativity through a disciplined but joyful lifestyle. Julian was taught self-mastery and personal responsibility are the pillars of a meaningful life. A person can only serve others when they first master themselves. True success isn't about being well off. It's about being well within. Early signs of transformation. Just 3 weeks into this new lifestyle, Julian experienced incredible internal shifts. He found joy in simplicity, a spider's web, a starry sky, morning silence. His physical health improved. He grew lean, vibrant, and full of energy. His mental peace deepened, and his heart opened to love, life, and meaning. Julian felt spiritually reborn. His old self, ruled by stress, ego, and ambition, fell away, replaced by presence, wonder, and balance. Chapter 6. The Wisdom of Personal Change. Transformation begins from within. Before any external change can happen, one must open their mind and heart to new ideas. Real growth is spiritual, emotional, and mental, not just physical. Julian's transformation continues. Julian returns the next evening to share more about his incredible spiritual journey in India. He is dressed in an unusual red robe with a blue hood, prayer beads around his neck, a clear sign of his complete shift in lifestyle and priorities. His presence radiates peace, health, and inner joy. The overflowing cup metaphor. Julian demonstrates a profound lesson by pouring tea into John's cup, even after it's full. Message: you must first empty your cup before you can fill it with something new. Julian urges John, and the reader, to release skepticism and fixed beliefs in order to absorb new wisdom. The 30-day challenge. Julian proposes that John embrace the ancient teachings for 30 days. That's 672 hours of practice for lifelong change. Results promised: more energy, enthusiasm, happiness, clarity, and a spiritual awakening. Chapter 7. A Most Extraordinary Garden. In this chapter, Yogi Raman begins to decode the first symbol of the mystical fable he shared with Julian: the magnificent garden. This garden represents the human mind, and caring for it is essential to living a fulfilling life. Just as a real garden needs daily tending, we must consciously cultivate positive thoughts and remove negative ones. Julian learns that mastering the mind is the starting point for self-mastery and personal transformation. The garden metaphor. The garden is a symbol for the mind. If you care for it properly, it will flourish beyond your expectations. But if you let weeds take root, they will choke the life out of everything good. The mind is the most powerful tool we possess, yet most people leave it untended. They allow worry, fear, regret, and toxic thinking to take over. Yogi Raman teaches that to live a peaceful and inspired life, one must treat the mind like a sacred garden. You become what you think about most. Thoughts are things. The mind becomes what you feed it. If you constantly think negative or stressful thoughts, your reality becomes anxious and disordered. Conversely, thinking positive, empowering thoughts leads to clarity, joy, and success. Chapter 8. Kindling Your Inner Fire. After mastering the mind, Chapter 7. Julian now introduces the second virtue of enlightened living. Everyone has a life purpose. The sages believed every person is born with a unique mission, a reason for being. This is called dharma in Eastern philosophy. Living your dharma leads to fulfillment, joy, and spiritual freedom. Your purpose of life is to live a life of purpose. Julian explains that misery comes when people lose connection to their life's calling, living according to external expectations instead of internal truth. The power of goals. To live your purpose, you must first know what you want and then take consistent action. Know exactly what you want. Vague goals produce vague results. Create positive pressure. Commit publicly or set a deadline to make yourself accountable. Attach a timeline. All goals must have a deadline to push you toward action. Apply the magic rule of 21. Practice a new habit for 21 days in a row to make it stick. Enjoy the process. The journey is just as important as the destination. Celebrate small wins. Those who set no goals have no control over their destiny. Julian tells John that when he first arrived at Savannah, he was asked by Yogi Raman, "What legacy will you leave behind when you're gone?" This shocked Julian. He had never considered the long-term impact of his life. It was a wake-up call to live intentionally, not accidentally. Julian shares the tale of a 99-year-old man in Savannah who still rose before dawn every day to meditate and tend the village gardens with joy. When asked why he did it, he said, "Because it is my duty. This is my path. I am at my best when I live with purpose." This story highlights the idea that age, wealth, or status don't define vitality. Purpose does. Chapter 9: The Ancient Art of Self-Leadership. This chapter introduces the third virtue of enlightened living taught by the sages of Savannah: self-leadership through self-discipline. Julian explains how lasting personal change and true success come from mastering oneself first. Self-discipline is the foundation of self-leadership. All great leaders and high achievers possess a remarkable ability to discipline themselves, their thoughts, and their actions. Without discipline, dreams remain unrealized, and potential goes untapped. Julian compares self-discipline to a wire cable. It's strong because it's made of many tiny wires woven together. Similarly, our willpower grows through small daily acts of courage and self-control. The symbol of the sumo wrestler. In the symbolic fable Julian shares, the sumo wrestler represents the power of self-discipline and massive willpower. Although seemingly out of place, his strength is symbolic. It reminds us that great inner power doesn't always look conventional. The sumo is naked except for a pink wire cable, representing self-discipline, the next element of the Savannah system. Willpower is like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it becomes. Most people allow themselves to be ruled by impulses, fears, or distractions. The sages taught Julian to do the opposite. Train the mind and body daily through small acts of self-control. Waking up early even when you don't feel like it. Completing tasks without procrastination. Choosing health over convenience. Saying no to temptations or time-wasting behaviors. Rituals are tools to build discipline. The sages practiced rituals of radiant living, which included waking at sunrise, meditating, exercising, eating simply, journaling, and serving others. Julian encourages John and readers to build morning rituals, daily routines, and personal standards. Rituals help you build consistency and strengthen willpower without relying on motivation. Courage is the fuel of self-leadership. Julian emphasizes that discipline and courage are closely connected. To lead yourself powerfully, you must do the things you fear or resist. That's where growth happens. Wage war against the weaker thoughts that have crept into the palace of your mind. Chapter 10. The Power of Discipline. Focus. Building inner strength and willpower. In this chapter, Julian introduces the fourth virtue in the fable of the sages of Savannah, represented by the pink wire cable worn by the sumo wrestler. This symbolizes the power of self-discipline, an essential trait for mastering your mind, achieving your dreams, and living with purpose. The pink wire cable equals discipline. The sumo wrestler's only clothing, a pink wire cable, is symbolic. The wire cable, made up of many thin strands woven together, represents how small, consistent acts of self-discipline create an unbreakable chain of personal power. Discipline isn't born, it's built. It's a habit developed through daily effort. Self-discipline is freedom, not restriction. True freedom comes from mastering your impulses, not giving in to them. Julian explains how structure creates freedom. When you control your thoughts and actions, you free yourself from chaos, regret, and wasted time. The virtue of discipline is like a wire cable, made up of tiny, trivial acts of self-control performed daily. Discipline of the mind is just as crucial. The sages emphasized controlling the mind's wandering nature through daily practice. Julian reinforces, "You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts, and with practice, you can shape them intentionally." Discipline is the gateway to lasting change. It's not about punishing yourself. It's about rising above your lesser impulses to meet your higher self. With discipline, anything becomes possible. Without it, dreams remain fantasies. Would you like the action summary, Julian's wisdom in a nutshell for this chapter as well? Chapter 11, Your Most Precious Commodity. Focus, mastering, and valuing your time. In the fable Julian shares, the golden stopwatch found beside the sumo wrestler represents the importance of time, the most precious commodity we all have. Once lost, it can never be regained. This chapter teaches that mastering your time is essential to mastering your life. Time is life's greatest equalizer. Every person, no matter their wealth or status, gets the same 24 hours in a day. The difference between a life of fulfillment and a life of regret is how wisely that time is used. Julian urges John and us to stop seeing time as something to kill and instead see it as something sacred. Time slips through our hands like grains of sand. Those who use time wisely from an early age are rewarded with rich, productive, satisfying lives. You don't find time, you make it. Stop saying, "I don't have time." Instead, recognize it's about priorities. People waste hours on distractions, gossip, digital noise, and worry. Julian teaches that by becoming conscious of how you spend each hour, you begin to reclaim your power. Live intentionally. Avoid the busy trap. Being busy is not the same as being productive. Ask yourself, are your daily activities taking you closer to your life's purpose? Your schedule should reflect your highest values, not society's noise. Use the deathbed mentality. Imagine yourself at the end of your life. What would you regret not doing? This thought exercise helps clarify priorities, eliminate trivial pursuits, and fuel action. Every moment matters, don't waste it. Transformation through time awareness. Julian explains that once he began living consciously, prioritizing his day based on his purpose and core values, his life became richer, calmer, and more meaningful. He stopped rushing and began savoring. Chapter 12, The Ultimate Purpose of Life. In the original fable Julian tells, the path of diamonds symbolizes the journey to finding one's true purpose and living it fully. This chapter is all about discovering your dharma, your unique mission, and living in alignment with it. Discover and honor your life purpose. Julian reveals the final and most powerful teaching of the sages of Savannah. Live your purpose. Follow your calling. That is the ultimate secret to a life of lasting fulfillment. Understanding Dharma, life purpose. Dharma is a Sanskrit term meaning life's purpose, personal mission, or higher calling. Every person has a unique reason for being, something only you can do. Fulfilling your Dharma brings you inner peace, vitality, and joy. Ignoring it causes restlessness and discontent. When you clearly know what you are supposed to do, and you do it passionately, you start to live a life of real meaning. Everyone has a destiny. Your life mission isn't discovered overnight. It unfolds as you grow. The key is to listen to your inner voice and be curious about your gifts. Julian emphasizes, everyone is born with a special talent, and using it in service to others is the highest form of success. Signs you're not living your purpose. Feeling empty, bored, or unfulfilled. Constantly chasing things that don't satisfy you. Success on the outside, but misery on the inside. Living in alignment with your purpose removes this pain and reconnects you with passion, energy, and peace. Living your purpose daily. Small, daily acts of purpose build a meaningful life. Don't wait for the right time. Start living it today, even in tiny ways. Julian. There are no mistakes in life, only lessons. Every experience brings you closer to your true path. The purpose of life is a life of purpose.